Hello, today I'll be doing a versus video. This time I'll be doing Deftones and Linkin Park. I have done these bands before for a versus video. I did do Hybrid Theory versus White Pony, so if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out after this video right here. But yeah, the albums that we will be talking about today are Koi no Yokan by Deftones and Living Things by Linkin Park. So yeah, both of these albums came out in the year 2012, but let's first talk about Koi no Yokan. So yeah, this would be their follow-up to, in my opinion, a really strong album, Diamond, and this album was produced by Nick Raskulinecz, who has also worked with other bands that I do enjoy, such as Alice in Chains, Korn, Trivium, and I believe he also did a Rush album, if I remember correctly, Snakes and Arrows, I think. But yeah, definitely a good producer choice here. But yeah, all around, really strong album in my opinion. I might like it more than Diamond Eyes actually. And again, this has come from someone that really enjoys Diamond Eyes, thinks it's again a strong album, but I think I might like this album maybe a tad more. I mean, really good album. Some of the songs on here I'd say is some of the band's best work, like Swerve City and Leathers, which was the first single, and I remember being really impressed by that song when it first came out. And Entombed is another highlight for me on the album. And when it comes to Deftones deep cuts, that might be one of my favorites in general. I mean, I do really think that song is that strong, and especially if you're a big fan of Chino's singing voice, then you should definitely be pleased by that song. I mean, kind of a song that's kind of underrated, not talked about as much as some of the other songs on the album, but I personally really dig it. And of course, if you haven't heard it in a while, definitely check it out. Definitely give it another listen. I do remember when this album came out, Tempest was a song that I do remember hearing a lot on the radio, and yeah, definitely another highlight on the album, I'd say. And if I remember correctly, one of the more lengthy songs on the album. But yeah, you do get some pretty good deep cuts on the album, like Poltergeist and Entombed and Goon Squad, which is one of my personal favorites from the second half of the album. But honestly, you really can't go wrong with really any of the songs on here. Sure, like with any album, there are songs stronger than others, but of course that'll depend on the person. But yeah, all around, really great album. And of course, Chino, he, to no surprise, sounds really great throughout the album, especially in songs like Leathers and Entombed and Swerve City. But you also get some killer riffs throughout the album too, such as in songs like Swerve City and Poltergeist. But yeah, all around, another really strong album from Deftones, and yeah, really good stuff. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the other album, Living Things by Linkin Park. So yeah, this would be their follow-up to A Thousand Suns, and I remember when A Thousand Suns came out, I remember being fairly divided about it, but over the years, the album has really grown on me, and it's been interesting seeing how the reception has been towards that album over the years. Because I mean, usually when you ask people their favorite Linkin Park album, most people point to either Hybrid Theory or Meteora, but within the past few years or so, it's been interesting to see more people say A Thousand Suns. Also kind of cool too. And again, the album has grown on me over the years, and I do enjoy the album much more now compared to when it first came out. I still wouldn't say it's my favorite by any means. That's pushing it a little bit for me personally, but Meteora is still at the top for me. To me, that album is peak Linkin Park, but A Thousand Suns still a solid album. But again, this would be the follow-up to A Thousand Suns. And I remember when Living Things came out, I remember some people, not everyone, but I do remember some people saying that it's a return to form. I personally wouldn't go that far. I mean, sure, it is closer to a return to form than A Thousand Suns, but still, I'd say this album does kind of feel like a mix between the electronic influence from A Thousand Suns and maybe their older stuff a little bit. But yeah, still, even with all that said, I still think this is a solid album. I think the singles on this album are especially really good, especially Burn It Down, which I think is maybe one of their best singles. Castle of Glass, which is one of the more melodic songs on the album, I think is also another standout here. Lost in the Echo, you can make the argument it's maybe one of their best album openers, I'd say. But yeah, with this album, the band continues to show that Mike and Chester have great chemistry together, and yeah, both vocally doing a fairly solid job. When it comes to Mike, I like what he's doing in songs like Lost in the Echo and Lies Great Misery, and of course Chester sounds really good, like usual, especially in songs like I'll Be Gone and Burn It Down, and Powerless. But yeah, I will admit this is one of those albums that I would put under the category of strong first half but weaker second half. But the second half does have its moments though, such as Powerless, which to me is easily the best song of the second half, at least in my opinion. And if I remember correctly, that song was in the soundtrack to Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer. For those who might not know, there you go. And of course, if you haven't seen the movie, check it out. But yeah, Powerless, pretty good song. Again, definitely one of the stronger cuts on the album, I'd say. But I'm not sold on everything on the album, again. But Skin to Bone, for me, has always been my least favorite on the album. One of the more electronic influenced songs on the album. And it's a song that's never quite done it for me. Until It Breaks is okay, but I wouldn't call it great. But not bad, though. Roads Untraveled is another song on the album for me. That's also always been one of my least favorites, but an okay song. But yeah, still a solid album from Linkin Park. I wouldn't rank it as one of the band's best, but still solid though. But of course, this is also another album produced by Rick Rubin, who of course is definitely a legendary producer. Worked with other great artists like Beastie Boys and Red Hot Chili Peppers. But yeah, Living Things. Solid Linkin Park album, kind of underrated within their discography. It's not really talked about as much as some of their other albums, like, of course, Hybrid Theory, Meteora, Thousand Suns. But still, with all that said, still a solid Linkin Park album. But yeah, if I were to choose which album I like more for this versus video, I'm going to have to go with Koi no Yokan. I feel like this album, at least to me, has less filler, and I feel like it has more memorable songs, and all around more stronger album, especially if you were to listen to it from front to back. But still, even with that said, I still think Living Things is a good album, but all around I do think that Koi no Yokan is easily the stronger album. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know which album you like more. Let me know some of your favorite or least favorite songs on these albums, and let me know if you have any specific memories with these albums when they came out or anything like that, and all that good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and a like, subscribe, have a nice day, and take care.